Hi there, and welcome to PodsCast number 4, Pods'ify My Theme, Displaying Data in Pods Part 2, airing live on April 22nd, 2015. Our podcasts are regularly scheduled on the first and third Tuesday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. UTC. We're going to welcome you to our fourth Podscast. My name is Jim True, and I am the project manager and support lead at Pods. We also have with us Josh Pollock, our community manager and contributing developer at Pods, and also the owner of Caldera WP. Today we're missing Scott Clark. He is away for some business meetings. So, as always, we will be taking live questions during the show. You can contact us on our Twitter at Pods Framework, or you can join us on our Slack chat channel at podsio./chat and ask any questions in the Podscast channel itself. Today we're going to continue our series on displaying Pods data in WordPress themes by building on what we covered in the last episode and delving further into the Pods class, its functions, and we'll also further cover how to handle such common theme duties as image and media handling, relationships, pagination, and taxonomies. We'll be working with more live coding and examples. Josh, whenever you're ready, we can take it away.
Can you introduce us to the cute dog behind you today?
I'm sorry, can I introduce us what?
There's a very cute dog sitting behind you. Can you introduce us?
Oh, yes, I can. The little dog back there would be Molly. Look how annoyed she looks.
So, Jim, you should be paying attention to me.
Exactly. That's exactly what she's saying. Actually, she just wants treats. So everything she does is about treats. So, okay.
So, now that we've covered what's important, let's back up into Pods.
Okay.
Just to where we left off last time, and what we're doing in general, there are a lot of ways to use Pods to get your data out. And that's what we're talking about today, is the front end aspect. We get this question sometimes. I know, Jim, you've heard it, which is, what's the right way to get my data out? And the answer is, there is no right way. There's a lot of ways. What's the best way for you is the question, because we have Pods templates. We have Pods templates with Pods Frontier Auto template. We have Pods Frontier with Pods templates, but possibly with Pods Frontier Auto template. We also have Pods pages. We also have what else do we have? You can do it straight out in your theme. You can write a plugin that kind of hooks into the content for custom post types. These sorts of things. Lots of options. Today, we're going to continue what we left off last time, which is, how can I code these into my theme? We're going to say code into your theme, but obviously we generally mean your child theme, unless you're writing your theme from scratch. Just like in any WordPress development project, you should either write a theme from scratch, or you should use a child theme so you don't lose the changes that you make to the parent theme that could be updated, thus wiping out your changes. But we'll just call that a theme for today.
Yeah.
And Jim has some really good examples he was showing me before we got started that we're going to go through, where we're going to look at, if we have two post types in a taxonomy in Pods, how can we, let's look at Jim's screen.
Yeah.
Right, if we have a video pod.
I'll go into the Pods configuration screen so that they can see that.
Yeah. How can we get this basic information out in I'm
getting bigger. There we go.
Yeah,
so in this case, we have a videos pod that has come on, okay. There we go. It has related actors, which is just a relationship one-to-many over to the actors pod. And then we have an actors pod that has a bidirectional going the other direction. So, and that's pretty much. Oh, go ahead.
I was to say, in episode 1, I believe, of this, the mere mention of episode 1 makes me
No, episode. Oh, yes, that's true. Episode 1's the bad one. I keep forgetting that.
Episode 1 is possibly even worse than episode 3.
Yeah.
But we did something, a very similar relationship setup.
Yeah.
We had different names, but it was the same basic concept. But we were using purely Pods templates to show off how that worked.
Yeah, we did that was actually number 2, but yeah, you're right. We did
Okay,
exactly the same thing where we basically created relational data, and I mean, we've got that. I've populated it with 4
right.
movies and their actors, and you can kind of see like we'll go to Star Wars, and
Right. And speaking of Star Wars, Episode 2 was possibly the only one that was close to acceptable.
yeah, there you go. So here's our taxonomies in there. We got a featured image, and then we have like 3 actors listed here. But the
Right.
nice thing, like I have no theme files on here right now at all. Not a single one. So all I'm doing is a child theme off of a main theme. I've disabled the edited files that I did, and if I click view video right now, I mean the Star Wars comes in. I don't have any of my special content, but I do see that. And if I go to like the archive page, which would just be this last video, this is all just standard custom post types. The theme itself handles most of this stuff. So
Right.
that's
Though
the
it should
that's
be
the
noted that you have to turn on archives in a custom post type.
Yes, that is correct, because I had them off and it actually aired out on me. So
You
I
have to
had
click that little has archive button. And the reason why you might not want to click that is that if you want to just use a page instead as your sort of pseudo archive, you
I
can do
gotcha.
that without having, if you don't click has archive.
I gotcha.
If
So
you don't want the automatic archive that WordPress provides for you.
okay, I'm gonna rename my archive now and bring it back. So we actually have some real stuff to work with here.
So yeah, so this is without any separate code done to make this work in your theme, but you have those ready to go. So
I
why
do.
don't you show off what it is that you wanted to show? Luke, can we start with the archive?
Yeah, we can start with the archive. Let me refresh the page real quick. And so now this is our new pod specific archive for videos. They basically has a big title, has a big image, has a link here, and kind of goes all the way down. So there's like 4 of them. Let me actually make it a little smaller because it's a tad too big. There we go. Okay, so we have like all of our stuff. The code is, I wish we could actually screen share multiple things at once, but I guess that's not possible. All right, on the code, yeah, there's the archive video. All I did, is that the right one? Yeah, okay. This was the original loop, the standard WordPress loop for this particular theme right after the get header. It was just that little block there, so I just commented it out. Commented it. Nice. Okay, and then I decided to create my new pods loop right here. And basically, is that big enough to read, or do I need to go a little
big enough
bigger?
to read.
Okay, I can get.
Can I show you a cool trick?
Yeah, what's that?
One thing that I like to do on my archive pages
Mhm.
is I like to use limit set to the value that's set in the settings for post per page. Right,
Okay.
right now you're doing -1, so it'll just
Right.
get as many as it can.
Right. So what would you
What
do
I like
here?
to do is set limit to get option post per page.
Okay. So change to posts per page. Okay.
Well, the option for post per page.
Okay. So right here, you would basically do.
For limit, instead of -1.
I'm okay.
Oh yeah, brilliant. Change that to the function get option, and then string post per page, post underscore per page,
Like that.
and then comma 15. That way we have a fallback. If that option doesn't have to be set, we'll get 15.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, because I
And
don't
now-
have pagination turned on here either. So
Right.
we'll test.
So this is a fairly basic. We've covered this in podcast 1, the Phantom Menace, mainly how all this stuff works.
Underneath the find param. Yeah, that's right. Because we're setting up the param here. Like if we wanted to do a different order by, if we wanted to limit what kind of like the where to kind of filter it down to specific stuff, we would actually put those items in this little parameter and then pass that to find right there, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. But this is fairly simple. We do a while loop. And then when we're in there, what do you got going on? You're getting permalink with field. Excellent.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Permalink with field, or should it be display? I was going to ask you that.
Oh, I would in general do, let me see how you're using it. You're just echoing it without doing any manipulation.
Yeah.
So I would actually use display.
Okay. We'll
My
change
rule
that.
of thumb, let's just remember that display is a bunch of formatting options for field. If you look at the source code,
Mhm.
That's what it is. It calls pods field, but it calls with a bunch of non-standard options
Okay.
that respect things. In the case of title, it actually is going to make no difference. But if you have, say, a what you see is what you get field,
Right.
if you do display
Mhm.
on that, it's going to give you it's going to display according to all of the settings
Mm.
that you have set in the admin.
Okay. Gotcha.
So in general, my rule of thumb is that if I'm going to just echo a value,
Mhm.
then I'm going to use display.
Got it.
Right. That's effectively what you're doing here. You're putting title into a variable, but
Mhm.
you're not doing anything to that variable. You're just
No.
echoing it.
Yeah, like whereas actors is different. It's actually a related field. So we're going to be treating it differently. That's why we use field for that one.
Yeah, and you need to use different parts of it. So for that, you need to use field. Also because you can't, it's going to return an array.
Right.
So that's good.
Well, if I did display there, it would just list, it would basically return the array, comma, concatenated with an and. So it would give like the list of all of my actors in a little string. So, and then I'm also doing like a video thing here too. So I guess we should probably actually show this particular thing because this is no, that's fine. Wait a minute. No, yeah. Never mind.
Sure.
I'm not actually using, I just realized I'm not actually using this field in this one. So I don't know why I have it in there. That's on my single video detail page. So
the two things that I would recommend that you do here,
yep,
that I think are good practice, and honestly, as somebody who writes a lot of example code and tutorials, I admit to leaving this out a lot myself. But it's something that I would do if I was writing code for real, and I think that we've recently seen the danger of oversimplifying examples in the codex, for instance.
Oh, definitely.
So line 56 would concern me a little bit here.
Okay.
And I would wrap permalink, the variable permalink, in escape URL.
Okay.
Yep. Just to make sure that that is valid. Okay. And then title, that variable, I would wrap in escape attribute, escape underscore ATTR.
What's the escape ATTR do?
That makes sure that it's safe to be used as an attribute in HTML.
Oh, okay. I got you. It basically would like de-encode like any spaces and stuff like that, or
yeah, just to make sure that it's valid and that everything's closed off, that you don't have anything.
Oh, I got you, because title is an attribute. That's why you want.
Title is an attribute. So by an attribute, we could mean class, we could mean ID, we could mean like it's some sort of data attribute, these sorts of things.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool.
And that's something it's important to do late escaping.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to make sure those are in our examples. So this is very straightforward. This is very simple. This is why I wanted to start with archives, because I know that your regular single view is a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, just a little bit. Like we have an image field in here, so we could probably go ahead and talk about it. But I'm actually isn't get the post thumbnail? That's a WordPress one, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep. And it's basically getting the ID from up here, from the ID of the post. Full's like one of the standard names, and I'm passing a class, but I'm not using it. So.
Yeah, that's smart though.
Yeah.
It's smart to do that. That second parameter allows you to put in a class there.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who doesn't do front end development, like my contracts specifically say that I don't make things pretty. I always like to leave lots of extra classes so that way somebody else can target it.
That's smart
even
idea.
if that ends up being me later. So that's smart what you're doing there in 52. So can we see again just the result of this?
Yeah, let me hop over to that screen instead. And that would be here. And let me refresh it.
Okay, we have officially lost Jim True, and he has all of our examples. I'm hoping that Jim will come back. Oh, here he comes.
Okay, Jim needs to learn not to refresh the screen. I did the same thing you did, Josh. I tried to scroll the Hangout. So that was really good. We tried.
Yeah. Before we got started today, I both caught myself trying to scroll Jim's screen on share, and I also tried pointing at things with my mouse on his screen.
Yeah, that's never works. So we now have the limited posts per page, which I guess is still catching the same numbers, but so it still works the same way it did before, which is good. So we have our all videos, the thumbnail, there's the header, everything else still works the same way it did before.
Okay. Beautiful. Why don't we talk about pagination real quick before we move on to the other view?
Yeah.
Or do you have a specific example lined up for that?
No, I don't. That's why I was going to actually ask you to help me with that one. So, hey, why not?
Let's do that. Let's turn this into pagination. Let's go back. Can we?
Yeah, let me switch back to the code screen. So give me just a second. And this time I will not jump over to the wrong way.
Yeah, don't leave me, Jim. I don't have anything set up to show. I mean, the podcast would be 5 minutes of me. I don't even think I have PHP Storm and Vagrant running.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So here's what I suggest. Let's change your limit to 2.
Okay.
That way we know pagination will be required.
So we'll go post per page, comma 2 here, or just change it to 2?
Oh, no. Just change that to 2.
Okay.
That second argument in get option is that's the default if post per page isn't set, which almost never would be the case.
I follow you. That's the fallback. So, and we're going to go ahead and comment. I'm lousy with my commenting. I'm sorry. All right. So limit, and we're going to call it 2. Okay.
Okay. And now, so right now we don't have any pagination.
Right.
Okay. So what we're going to get as a result of this is just the first 2 results and then no way to get to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Right?
That makes sense. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
And so that's disappointing.
Yes, we would be very unhappy.
We are sad. But let's be happy. What we're going to do is Pods has a very easy pagination system. You don't need to what you still need to do is use the Pods pagination method.
Yeah, that's down at the bottom though. Don't you have to tell it in the find? Don't you have to put the pagination in there?
Nope.
It's on by default.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. So there we go. We learn something new every day.
Right, but you can change the type of pagination there. So we'll come back to that. You're just getting ahead of me. All right. So before the end of your while loop, I'm sorry, after your while loop, but before the if you had used a like an if Pods found sort of thing, you need to do this before the end of if. But anyway, after your while loop, open up PHP there, and then my pod is your object.
Yeah.
And then pagination is the name of the method.
Quotation mark, or sorry, parentheses or no?
Nope. Just close it off. Yeah, no, you're good. No, it's a method, not property. There you go. You need a semicolon.
Need a semicolon or I will break. There we go.
Okay.
All right, so save that.
Are you able just to drag your screen over onto this screen, your browser window, so we don't have to we can do quicker switchovers?
I wish I could. That's kind of the problem is that you, when you're sharing the screen, you're actually, I mean, I could share my whole desktop, but my desktop's way too big for what we're presenting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I basically have to choose another item.
Okay, well, whatever. Let's, can we switch over?
Mm-hmm. We're doing that now.
Oh, the dog left.
She's over by the door now. She keeps moving. She does what she wants to do.
Oh, that's
okay. So we now have 2, but no pagination method. So
yeah, that's because you didn't echo it.
Oh,
sorry, that was my bad. I was telling you what to write.
Yeah, shame on you, Josh. Hang on, I would just added echo.
Just add that in real quick. We'll trust you. Jim will post all this in the show notes.
Yes, I will. As soon as I find my window browser again. Give me just a second. There we go. Okay, I'm back. So if I refreshing, oh my God, look at that.
Pagination. It's beautiful. It's there. That's all you need. We just echo Pods pagination.
Wow. I feel like I'm writing a WordPress theme.
You are.
So
was that creepy?
No, that's really,
anyway,
that's pretty
because I zoomed in a little bit on my face.
Yeah, you did. You're scaring people. Okay.
So that's all you need to do. Let's move on to a single view.
Okay.
It just last thing is that you'll notice that this will respect will work the same way basically as a WordPress one does. The standard WordPress pagination in terms of what classes it outputs and stuff. Right. So it generally tends to, most of the time with most themes, look just like a native WordPress pagination.
Okay, I'm going to click on Empire Strikes Back. Okay. So this is actually my single archive view, but I'm going to go to the code after this. But basically, I'm giving the title, a thumbnail view of the image, and then I'm doing a relationship across the actors in the movie to actually output them in a little list. So
okay, and pretty nice.
Yeah.
So in actors in movie, that's your actors relationship field.
Yeah, that's my actors relationship field. You got it. So I'm going to go back to my code now. I think I'm going back to my code now. There we go. Going back to the code now. Okay.
Okay.
And we're going to single actor view. So, all right.
Okay. So, let's use.
Oh, think you froze, Josh. What'd you say?
Oh, there was something in the podcast that made me laugh. Anyway,
well, share.
So let's,
because I can't watch the podcast while I'm doing live coding. So
don't worry. It doesn't matter. It wasn't funny. It wasn't that funny. Okay, so let's talk about what we have here. What we're doing here is we are building a single pods object.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of ways to do this.
Oh, good. Can we go through them?
Yeah. The way that you're doing it is a valid way to do it.
It's a valid way. Okay. At least it was a valid way.
Oh, yeah, and it works. It's not the way that I would do it, because what you're doing is you're pulling from the URL, which is something that we recommend for advanced content types because it's kind of the only way you can do it.
Right. And I think I modeled this after an advanced content type because that was the code I had at the time. So that's probably
right. Oh, yeah. And it worked.
Yeah.
But let me point out that there are a couple of other ways in which you could do this.
Okay.
One is leave line 18, though. Just comment out that, right?
Yeah.
What you really need on line 18 is you need the pod name, comma, the ID.
Ah, okay.
And so you can get the ID in a different way. If you get the global post object up.
Right. Okay.
The global post on 17.
Line 17. Okay, say this again. Get
global. No. Just the word global to get at the global variable. No, you don't need get. Just global. And then space post. Variable post. Semicolon. You can now use, that's the current post being shown right there.
Okay.
So on 19, you can use the property ID of post.
Oh, okay. So I can actually, in here, go and actually say like post. Way. Magic.
No. Post and then arrow ID. Capital ID. Right. So that's one way of doing it.
Okay.
Do you want to know the really cool way of doing it that Scott will be really proud of because he wrote it?
Okay.
Is that you can just do 19. You can do just pods.
Oh, not even like put the ID.
Like what you have now will work. Okay.
Oh, so you're saying
everything inside of that, it'll still work.
Oh, because it's going to basically open the pod object, and it's smart enough to know based on the URL.
No. Yeah, no? You can even get rid of actor.
What?
Yes. I know, it's crazy. I remember when Scott did this. It was pretty slick. If you look at the source code, it'll figure out all of that. It'll figure out what is the current post type.
Holy.
And it'll figure out what is the current ID if it can. This only will work in this situation where you're already on a single view.
Dude, that's monsters there.
I know. It's magic. But here's the thing that I would do. Go back to where you were. Undo. Yeah. I like to show off all these ways. The problem with this current one right here, and it doesn't matter. This is generally how I would do it because it's single actor.php. We talked on the last podcast a lot about the template hierarchy, but because this will only work for the actor's custom post type.
Right. If we had created like our own separate single one or modified the single one to add in like different post types, then that we would want to do something different here, right?
Right. So this is, if you wanted to use this for multiple post type archive,
what would you do?
What you have now on 19 because it's only going to work with actor.
Right.
But you could, if this were single.php.
Right, which it could be. We could actually.
And you had the same, you wanted to use it because you had multiple post types that had the same field structure. What you could do is you could do, instead of writing in actor there, you could use the post object again to get the post type.
Oh, so we could actually do like
post arrow, post underscore type.
Is that?
Yep. And in this case, we haven't changed anything on a practical level, right? Because this is still going to come out to actor, comma, the current ID. But these are multiple different ways in which you can build your post.
Of course, I just realized I'm on the single actor one and not the single video. Woo!
Wouldn't have busted it.
Huh? I mean, it wouldn't bust it anyway, but you're right. I mean, I'm like actually on the wrong archive file. Isn't that hilarious? So
Yep. Okay. We'll just cut and paste that 19 over there.
exactly.
17 through. You're good to go.
That's hilarious. I love when I do stuff like that. Don't you?
Yeah. I love when you
do
do things like that.
Yeah. Hey, this is what happens when you code locally, right?
Yeah. Okay. So
and this is why we develop locally, so that we don't break our sites in the big place. So.
Yep. We all make mistakes. I make many, many, many mistakes.
So I should go back and verify that this still works, right? Actually,
yeah,
I'll do that while you're looking at the rest of the code, because we're in here about 30 minutes now. Do you want to go ahead and do a friend of pods discussion at this point?
Yes, we're going to do a quick pledge break.
Okay.
Friends of Pods is our relatively new system, which you can get some fancy rewards as a way of, our way of saying thank you for becoming a monthly supporter of Pods. Pods, everything we do, PodsCast, right? That's the best part of Pods, but like Pods add-ons, free pod support, all of these things, Josh and Jim getting paid are all happen because of the generosity of our sponsors and the generosity of our donors, right? Automatic is our pillar sponsor, but we take donations from regular users like you who say, this is something valuable that's totally free, but it's given me it saved me time, it saved me money, and it's awesome that something this powerful is just a free thing that's always going to be free. You can go to pods.io/friendsofpods. We have different levels. I know everybody's in sort of a different economic place where they are in their careers, in their lives. It starts at $5 a month. I think you get like a sticker and a thank you for that. At the higher levels, you get some discount codes, discounts on PodsCamp, t-shirts, these sorts of things. It means a ton to us when you support Pods. It shows us that you really care and that you're willing to put your money voluntarily behind a cool project that I think is a really valuable resource to our community in the WordPress world. And I know personally for me, it makes my life easier that I get to offload a lot of the responsibility for the complex SQL stuff that I need in my sites, for advanced content types being in separate tables. I have no idea how relationships really work on a technical level. Like they're just a black box element to a lot of the stuff that I've just trusted that like 40 or 50 contributors to Pods have figured out for us. If you appreciate that and you appreciate these things like PodsCast, go to pods.io/friendsofpods and show us your support. It means a lot to us. Awesome. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. Okay, now we're ready to talk about relationships. So we'll go back into our code. And I did confirm that when I refresh the screen, nothing broke. So all of this new method works great, which I'm very happy about. So I may be starting to switch some stuff around. At some point, we can probably talk about, I know we probably won't have time today, but we could probably talk about how to actually call different template types within your WordPress templates based on post type.
There are good examples of that.
Yeah.
So let's go through here. Let's see what you got. We need to make a couple adjustments based on what we did in the other one.
Okay.
For example, my pod field, line 21, we said, well, that should really be display.
That's right. It should be. And and we need to do the permalink can be display. Now we're actually doing
on what's now line 30. You need to make sure to escape URL on permalink.
Yeah. You want to talk about the relationship while I'm fixing those two little guys?
Yep. So it's escape_URL.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Very important that we do this sort of thing. It's one of those, oh, nope, you don't need to do it because that's actually.
You're right. I didn't do a title. You're right. I didn't. Shame on me.
Oh, that's an accessibility fail.
I know.
These are things that are important, that we sanitize going in, we escape coming out, and that we make our sites accessible. Right. I feel like especially in example code, but also in our practices, because our practices are based on a lot of time, kind of pasting out of example code. It's important that we clean these things up. So let's go down to 40 though, because this, if we look at 24, all we're doing is getting an array of data for the related actors. You
Right.
can't echo that. If we echoed that, we would just see array. It is not a string.
Yeah, I guess we couldn't actually show them like a print R or something to let them see what's actually in there, could we?
No, but I think that's a good thing for people to do at home. I
Okay.
really encourage people, unless you have Xdebug enabled, which is the better way of doing this, and it's not that hard, where you can, like, just like working with JavaScript, you can break execution. One of the good ways to see what's in these sorts of arrays that you get is just to, in your local development site, so you're not showing it off to the world, print R that variable. And therefore, you can see what are the keys of that array. I also have a really good, excuse me, I have an article on pods.io that walks you through this process that we're about to do.
Yep, you do. It's the relationship one, isn't it?
Yep, and I can see that you basically cut and pasted out of that part of it.
Not completely.
And again,
but close.
But one of the things that you haven't done is properly escaped your URL, because I didn't in my example code. -1 point for Josh. But the other thing that I want to show here is that no semicolon.
Oh, all right. Yeah, because we're doing the dots.
The one thing that I would recommend in addition here is wrapping 44 to 47 to make sure that actors is an array and it's not empty.
Ah, I thought we did that here. Isn't that handled there?
Oh, good point. You're ahead of me. You're very ahead of me.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the fact that what Jim has done here is he's made sure that actors isn't empty. And he's done this ahead of where I would have done it for a good, smart reason, which is that if there are no actors returned, then we don't want to show this little bit of HTML on 41 and 42 because we just have an empty list, right? So that's smart because that's killing two birds with one stone. It's saying it's preventing a potential error on 44 if actors isn't valid to for each through, but it's also preventing this sort of visual error of actors in movie, and then there's just kind of nothing. So that's pretty smart. And then in the loop, what this is doing is it's going through for each actor, right? We returned actors. We have multiple actors. We're then getting down to a single version. It's smart to write your for each loops as plural to singular. That, that's a convention that we follow in the PHP world that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Just because it's semantic, understands. On 45, we're extracting the ID of the actor.
Now this is basically forcing it to be an array, correct? We're basically doing like array notation here or something?
Well, it is an array. Okay. It already was an array.
Yeah.
We're treating it as if it's an array by getting the ID, because it's not an object. I mean, we could cast it as an object, but there's no real advantage to that.
Okay.
We're just treating it the way that it comes to us. Just like we should treat human beings. Everybody's their own unique data type. And then on 46, we are outputting just one, though this happens for every single one, where we're doing we're doing a little bit of HTML markup, right? We're opening an li tag. We're doing our link. And for this, once we have the ID, if you look at what is in this actor array or the array of arrays in actors, you'll see that it doesn't have a permalink in it. And that's smart because, right, permalinks are totally variable. So we don't, WordPress pods, nobody stores that in the database. GUID is there, but don't use GUID. It's very tempting to use GUID because, hey, there's a URL. That's not always the correct URL. It starts out that way, but it can change. Instead, do it the correct WordPress way, which is pass the ID to get permalink, like Jim has done on 46, +1 Jim.
Thank you.
And then you can do a couple different ways to get the title. I show this way in my example code, just to show off that you can do all sorts of WordPress ways with that ID, just like it was any other ID. If my memory serves me correct, post_title will be in that array.
Yeah, post_title should be in there as well. So you could actually do like something like this. You could do like like that, right?
Yeah. And that's the difference is very minor, but that is going to save it from doing one query that's probably going to happen against current running memory and therefore makes no difference. So it's a really minor thing, right? Because when you do get the title, it has to go and find the title for a post, and you already have that information sitting right there in the
that
actor
makes sense.
variable.
Because
But
when you do the field, you're actually getting that entire object is being populated into actors, right?
yeah, I'm just saying that's a really minute point because it should already have that post object in memory.
Okay.
Anyway, so let's go and let's look. You are missing a UL tag at the end of this, by the way.
Oh, where? I
At
am?
the yeah,
Oh,
you have
you're
42
right. I
start
sure
UL.
am. My gosh, what a bad person I am. There we go.
This doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you human.
It's called
We like
semantics.
Jim.
All right, so we're saving this now. And
Save it. And let's see what it looks like.
yeah, we haven't actually made any changes, so it should be exactly the same. So
It should be the same. If not, then one of us is wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like an ad for Friends of Pods. You should support Friends of Pods.
no, I just haven't changed my screen back. There we go. And the dog is still over by the window. She's licking her feet. So she's doing the, like, let's go for a walk again so I can get a treat. So, we have a broken thing. What did we break? Line 49.
Syntax error.
We love syntax errors. Those are the best things ever because they're live and we can fix them on screen. Right?
This is why we develop locally.
Oh, I basically did something where I put text outside of a PHP loop. Dude.
Oh, yeah. You didn't. I'm going to take partial responsibility for this. Half, negative 0.5 for both of us because I told you to.
Yep, there we go. Yeah, I probably should have actually broken my PHP up more on that loop, but I was in a hurry and decided to do it that way.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We still love you, Jim.
Okay. So that's relational. Have we missed anything? I think we were going to talk about taxonomy. Do we have time to talk about taxonomy?
Yeah, we should move on to taxonomies, but can we just go back to where we were with it? So I wanted to show
Mhm.
the results of this, just so we can connect what we've seen there.
Yep, sure. Hang on one second. Yeah.
But we had a syntax error, which happens to us all. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Which we do want to see those. They help. They're very helpful to see them, I think. So there we go. Yep, we're back. Okay.
So,
and I make that screen just a tad bigger.
Yeah, make that bigger. So let's walk through this. You see we have this actors in movies, right? And then it did that loop where it creates a ordered list where it showed us the title, but those are links to the individual posts.
Yeah, we can actually click on them. These are, yep. And this is the single actor doing the other direction. So basically also doing, it's doing basically the exact same thing except minus the image, but it's using the related movies bidirectional link to create the ordered list going back the other direction. So.
Okay.
And actually,
so that's beautiful.
Yeah, we can actually go all the way through these. Of course, they're not in alphabetical order, I just noticed. They're in entry order, so we should.
Well, actually, do you know what? Why don't we talk about that real quick? That's a really good thing.
Hey, I'm glad I did that. There we go. We don't want to go.
Is how to order our related fields.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll do that with the movie one since we're here. And movies also has genre, so we can do taxonomy after that. So let me get back.
Right. So by default, it's going to order the same basic default that WordPress does, which is like post date, which is kind of worthless in this situation to us. So let's find where you build that actors, which is 24.
Yes, right here.
No, line 24.
Oh,
where you actually get that the variable.
Right there. Yes, right there. Okay,
and the reason why it's using the default is because you didn't use you didn't tell it anything else. Pods field will take as its second parameter. This is an optional parameter. It will take a array of parameters that is shockingly similar in functionality to Pods find.
If we did param.
And then we did an order by in params, for instance. This will work exactly like it would work in.
We want to say by like title?
Yeah, well, t.post title. And then you need an ascending or descending.
Oh, yes, that's right. So we want to go ascending, yeah.
And the prefixing here is just like you were doing um, just like you were doing a order by clause for pods find.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't actually. Do we actually need the T prefix on this one? Okay, I wasn't sure on. Okay,
it's
so
just like you were doing an order by to pods find because that's how it works.
okay.
That's how it works. And if you trace it down in the source code, it all goes back to pods find.
So
I spent
now we
more
would
time in pods find in the last couple weeks than I normally do.
Okay, so we would go.
Yep, exactly the same way.
Related actors, and then we would just pass the param.
Yep, and so this is going to order it by the post title, which is going to order by like the first name, but you know, it explains the point.
Let's test that real fast.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yep. See, it's ordered by first name, right? Because those are all in there.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, let's not get too far into this because we want to move on to taxonomies before you need to, right? So you're saying, yes, but Josh, it would be better if it was ordered by last name. Yeah. I have two solutions for you. One, make last name a separate field from first name. And then order by that, and then show them together. I have another more complicated answer, which is don't order using the field order like we just showed. Just get the default order and then sort using PHP.
Right, because then you can actually
like you can find the last word in the string.
Right, exactly.
And then you can set that into a separate array and sort based on that. That's doable. It gets a little complicated. Yeah. Honestly,
we can include that in the show notes. We don't need to do it on this one, I don't think. Yeah.
So let's talk about taxonomies. You have a genres taxonomy.
Yes, I do, and it's just basically a standard taxonomy, nothing special. So
right. So taxonomies in WordPress don't have metadata.
Right.
But one of the features of pods is that if you have the table storage component active, you can add separate custom fields. And the only way to access that data would be via the pods class because it's in a custom field custom table that WordPress does not know about. So what's the name of your custom taxonomy?
Genre.
Genre. Excellent. So there are a couple of different ways in which we can do this, right? Real quick, I always say this ahead of time just to make sure that we are clear on terms when we talk about taxonomies. Sorry. Pardon me. When WordPress has a post that is associated with a specific term in a taxonomy, that is when we say it is associated. Pods allows you to create a relationship as a custom field, right? It can be related to a taxonomy. So we'll say that's a related taxonomy. And that does not imply an association. That is totally different. So what we are talking about right now is the standard WordPress functionality that you're used to using with the basic default categories, such as taxonomies, such as categories and post tags. In this case, it is a custom taxonomy that is associated. We used pods to add it. We could have added it manually. We could have just written in, register custom taxonomy. It makes no difference. Pods just makes it a little bit easier for you. But the difference is because it is a pods field, we have two options. If it's a native WordPress taxonomy or taxonomy that's not added via pods, we only have one option, which is use a core WordPress function. Because it is a pods added taxonomy, we are able to get at it with the pods class. So we're going to look at both of these options. Let's start with the core WordPress way, which I think is the better way of doing it, to be honest, which is WP get object terms. Right? There are a couple really useful functions for taxonomies, and get terms gets used a lot, I think incorrectly, because it sounds like, oh, get these terms, but get terms doesn't take into account the post that you're on. It gets you all of the terms in a taxonomy. WP get object terms, the first argument is going to be the post ID.
Which we have above. It was the video, I think.
Yeah. Or you could use my pod and then the video and then the ID method.
Yeah,
or
we have it up on
ID. There's a lot of different ways you could do that.
Yeah, since I have it on line 20, I could use that. Or I see what you mean. I could go post.
Yep.
That. Okay.
That's how I would do it. And then the second argument there is going to be the name of the taxonomy,
Okay.
which I think you said was genre.
Yep, and that's the slug name, right? That's the programmatic name, not the pretty name.
Yeah. Don't use the label there. It won't work.
Yeah.
Like you probably given a label of capital G genre, maybe genres. You want to use the actual name here.
Got it.
And so you're going to need to put that into a variable because that's going to return an object.
Oh, okay. So we actually need to do some real PHP here.
Yep. Break that out into a new line. This is very similar to when you're like looping through the pods object with pods while loop, because if you say genres equals WP get object terms post ID genre.
We'll use genres there because we're going to probably have more than one on some of these.
Yep.
Just okay. We don't need, and those are the only two parameters for that?
Yeah, I mean, there are options. Look at the codex, but this is fine.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do very similar to the for each loop that we did on 55 here. First, we're going to check that that isn't empty. Right, same reason. We want to make sure that we have valid data, and if we have any sort of like header there, we don't want to output it if there's nothing there.
Yeah, so we probably don't even need that div class. We can shortcut that one out this time, I think. But so we're not empty. So.
And then we can do that genres. We can do a for each genres as genre.
Sorry. Getting used to a new editor. I blame the editor. It's not me.
Yes, a good wizard blames his wand, Jim.
I don't want to talk about wands, dude.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, there we go.
What do we have in there? Like, what is genre at this point? You know, you can.
Well, it's an object, isn't it? Yeah.
It is an object, but what's in there? It is an object, but what is it? It's all the fields from the WP term table.
Oh, okay.
So there are two really useful things that we have here.
Yeah, the name
one
and
is,
the slug,
so one
the pretty
is
name, and the pretty name and the slug. Okay.
Well, no, so three. Slug. Slug gives you something like, say, if you wanted to use it in like as an attribute or something, we could use genre slug. It's an array, it's an object, not an array, Jim.
Oh, so we have to do.
So you need an arrow operator. That has a fancy name that Phil told me once.
Arrow operator.
It has a better. Well, there's a better name than arrow operator, but let's just call it arrow operator because it makes sense. All right. So that's the slug. The other thing that we might want is the actual name. So that would be genre equals name.
Not equals name, but
arrow name. Sorry. And then the other thing that's really useful to us is that we can get the ID of this term.
Okay.
And that's term underscore ID.
Okay.
Because I like that Jim is naming his variables for the same thing that the property is called. That's very semantic of him.
I do my best.
Because we want to do something very similar to what we have on line 66, where we do get permalink. Get permalink doesn't work with taxonomies, but get term link does, if we want to link out to the archive.
Okay. Did not know that. We
can do something very similar to what we've done there.
We need a UL.
Keep this here for 1 second. What you have now on 50 is wrong, but it's conceptually correct.
Yep. That's why I copied it, because it's the direction we want to go in without being things. And actually, we don't want allies on this anyway, because we're just going to probably...
Yeah, that's fine. But my point is that this is exactly the same conceptual thing that we need to do, but because it's taxonomy, we need to treat the data a little bit differently. We need get permalink and get the title are of no value to us. But we can replace get permalink with get term archive. I think that's what it is. I'm going to check the codex real quick. It's actually get term link.
Get term link. Okay, that would make sense. The terminology, the taxonomy term link, and this would be the term ID, right?
Right. Yep. And then for there, we actually already have the name in a variable.
Yeah, we have it up there, so we could just go name instead and do it as a concatenated thing.
Yep.
We could build the permalink with the slug, but we don't need to.
Yeah, I want to recommend that because that would assume that the permalink structure is never going to change on your site, and that's a bad thing to assume.
Yeah.
That's why we use get term links. That way we can build it based on the current permalink structure. Just for the same reason we use get permalink. We could assemble the permalink using, we know what this is and this is, and then you change your permalink settings or you change your URL and you're screwed. That's why you use
Right. Don't hard code it. Yeah.
Right. And then we have slug, so let's use slug. How can we use slug? Let's make it an attribute in that link.
Oh, okay.
Let's do ID equals. And then PHP.
Oh, we're in that weird little world here.
Oh, yeah.
Of concatenating, so we don't need to escape.
Underscore attribute. Oh, yeah. And then slug.
Yeah.
And then I think you need a period. Yep. Excellent.
Should be good now. Yeah. Okay. This is
I
really
will make you
dumb.
rewrite it all with printf, but I would have.
Yeah.
Printf.
I probably should have. Yeah, because that was one of those. Because thinking about it in the long term, what would be smart would be we may have more than one of these, and so we actually need to build them back together. Semantically for the view, we actually need to build them back together as separate little objects with like a pipe or something in between them. And doing it the way I'm doing it, I can't do that. And I'd have to add some sort of logic to actually look and see, is this the first one? Is it the last one? All that kind of thing.
Yeah, this gets weird doing the concatenated, I'm saying that word wrong, doing with the dots. I would, if it were me, I would use printf or printf, but this makes sense. This is fine. And that, by the way, is how I would do a taxonomy. You could use pods display genre.
Right.
But honestly, this is how I would do it.
Well, and if you did display genre, all it's going to do is just give you the text. It's not going to give you. It's not going to give you.
It'll give you. It's going to return an object, or it's going to return like an array, so you can do something similar.
Display would.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you maybe.
No, display won't. Display would actually get back an array, but it would show it back with commas.
Right, but you could do field.
Field
genre, and then do this. And you could also, one thing that is kind of useful there is that you can do display genre.name.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's true, because we could actually, we're not going to do it.
Just saying, as somebody who spent way too much time in the last weeks looking at how taxonomies are handled, associated taxonomies are handled by Pods'ify, it does not deal incredibly with display as a method.
It doesn't. I just realized that. So like,
because multiple associated taxonomies.
There we go.
So you could do pods, or it's my pod in this case.
Yeah, it would be my pod.
My pods object.
Yeah, I just realized it.
Do we have any questions from the assembled masses, by the way, because we're running out of time here?
Yeah, I kind of noticed that myself.
If you have any questions, remember that you should join our Slack channel and ask in support at any time, or go to pods.io/forums.
No, I think you and I are the only ones asking any questions on this one. It's fine. So
that's fine. I'm just saying, like, in general,
But the nice thing is honestly, I'm learning as I'm doing some of these because I'm actually asking you questions as we're going through it. So it's not a bad thing. So here you would go genre.name like that.
Yep.
Gotcha.
The issue here is that it's going, when you use display like that, it's going to
it'll go like adventure, comma, sci-fi. It's going to do.
But if you use field, you'll get back an array that you can loop through, much like we saw there.
And it would still have all of its. It would only be .name, though, wouldn't it? It wouldn't have actually anything else.
Yeah, but if you do field.
No, I mean that's
again. Yeah. Okay. So Jim, here, let me explain the differences here. Go back to display. Go back to where you were. I'm going to break you down 3 different options here. Right now, what you would get, because there are multiple, let's assume there are multiple genres associated with here.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
You would get, with display, you would get that pod serial comma thing.
Yep.
Where you would get the names.
Yeah.
If you change that to field real quick.
Right.
What you're going to get now is an array.
But it would
that
just
has
be those
the 2 names in it.
I gotcha.
Now get rid of the dot for the traversal.
And now you'd actually get like a associative array, correct?
Now, yes. And what you would get is all of the fields.
Okay.
When you do, you would get term, term ID, slug, name.
Excellent. Okay.
right? But the point is that when you do the traversal, it basically just knocks all those extra fields out of it.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. We're basically at time.
Yeah, we should probably show the genre actually being in there and make sure I didn't break anything.
Yes, let's show that. And Jim's going to drop all of these files into GIFs and link to them in the post for the show, which is on our blog. If you go to pods.io/blog, you'll see
we have a fatal error formatting.
Yeah, let's not get too worked up on that. Why it's a WP error is because you probably passed the wrong genre, the wrong taxonomy name.
I might have. Let me try that real quick.
But the actual, can we just fix how we would avoid this type of error real quick?
Sure.
Because these things will happen. Go back to your code.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just assume this error. This is a good thing to learn.
Okay, we're back.
On 44, your test, your safety test on 44, don't fix it. Don't fix it on 43.
Aw.
This is an important thing.
Okay.
If your safety test is not sufficient, because in this case, genres is not empty. Genres is an object of the WP error class.
Ah.
And there is a really interesting function, which is, I think it is WP error.
Mm-hmm.
He Googles. Yep, is underscore WP underscore error. So on 44, after you check if it's not empty, do an and there. Inside of the conditional.
Okay.
Yep, and now two ands, 2 ampersands.
Ah,
you're a SQL guy.
I am a SQL guy at times.
Right.
So go ahead.
So, do a exclamation point because this is a negative check.
Okay.
And then is underscore WP underscore error. And then the genres variable. That's the parameter for that.
Okay.
Because what this is going to check is whether or not one of the things that WP get object terms can return is a WP error object.
Ah, okay.
And then if it's a WP error object, then everything that we've done on 46 through 51 is bad, right? Because it's assuming the structure of a good return for WP get object terms. So instead, what we're going to do here is we're going to say, if this isn't a WP error, continue.
Okay.
If it's a WP error, bail.
All righty, let's see if that works.
Hopefully, because we're running out of time and I got a lot of dog barking coming.
Might not have worked. So that's okay. We can try to fix it later and then actually.
We'll fix it before we do because we're out of time and we need to respect that.
Yeah.
Josh will have to look at that.
Yeah, let's.
Okay, I gotta run. I got doors but ringing. It's too.
Okay, I will do the wrap up of the show real quick while you do all of that stuff because we have a handful of stuff we have to basically say at the end of every show.
Okay, you wrap up. Thank you. I gotta go. My doorbell's ringing.
Okay, you do that. Okay, so as always, let me stop my screen share real quick. Okay. We'll finish up fixing the code later, but as always, our next episode is in 2 weeks on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2015 at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. UTC. We'll be deep diving into shortcodes, widgets, and pods templates. Where you can find archives of our show is at Pods.io category PodsCast or on our YouTube channel at youtube.com user Pods Framework. If you're just getting started with Pods, and you need to find some help on it, you can go to our website at the Pods.io forums. That's our support forum. We check it pretty regularly. You can also ask questions on wordpress.org at wordpress.org/support plugin pods, or you can ask us questions on our Slack chat. That's at pods.io/chat and the support channel, which is #support. Thank you so much for joining us for another podcast, and we look forward to your questions and comments for the next one in 2 weeks. Have a great day.